All right, let's do this before I change my mind. It is midnight, early hours of Sunday, February 1st, 2026. So, this will deal with gold, silver, and the miners, and whatever the hell I decide to include. So, let's start with gold. And despite the collapse, and it was a collapse on Friday, gold still settled net higher for the month by $564, which is probably it's the biggest, in dollar terms, it's the biggest gain of all time, which is 13% to 48.86, having printed a new historic high on Thursday of 56.08. RSI is 94. So you can see, even though we pulled back, RSI is still crazy strong. Underlying price pressure is massively strong. On a monthly chart, first support is the 10 of May, 37.89. We could pull all the way back to that, and that wouldn't do anything. I don't think we're going to pull back to that, although it's possible, but I just don't think it's likely. That's because that'll be around 4K as of pretty near 4K as of Monday, February the 2nd. So yeah, what's there to say about Friday other than the fact of I mean, just wow. There's a daily chart, and there's a number of people have been pointing out. First real support. I mean, look, we have a break of a 10 of May. What's the first real support? 50-day, 44.57. So as of the Friday close, we still have a $400 drop to test the 50-day, right? And look at this. Most people will be overlooking this, but this is crucial. The October-November consolidation, which was a gigantic bullish pennant. This is what I highlighted at the time. I told this was clear. I'm not the only one who saw this. This is obvious. But look, it held above the 50-day, just above. So maybe we can come down I mean, you can see there's a high there around 4,500. Of course, the 50-day is coming up. So maybe we'll level out next week around 4,500, which is ironically uh, almost 20% below that high, which being gold would technically be in a bear market just around 4,500, which is hilarious. Oh my God. But yeah, um, biggest daily drop in dollar terms in history. 9% is probably the biggest percentage drop in history, but I'm aware of anyway. And we look at the size of the candle. Look at the size of these candles. They're tiny. There was the first big down one in October. There was one at the end of December, literally a one-day wonder. And yeah, so we should be printing back in the 4,500s, which is $300 down. Again, Monday could be up. Monday could print. Maybe Monday wants to go up and test 5,000, maybe 5,100, and then resume down again on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. On a daily cyclical chart, momentum's got to turn negative either on Monday or Tuesday. When we get a bearish cross, that's a sell signal. We had one there. Didn't last for more than a couple of days, right? We had one there, though, October 20th. Well, October 22, 23 or so. That lasted for a couple of weeks, but that's all. And you can see all we had in October was this. It was really just consolidation, forming a pennant. So anyway, look, we know, I've said it last week, and I'll keep on saying it, we know gold's going to go to 6,000. And now that we've already printed 56.08, it's like 6K looks easy. 7 to 8K by year end. Yeah, probably. I'm pretty confident about that. Moving on to silver. So I mean, look these candles. These 6, 7, 8 candles. It just makes all of this just look like flatlining zombie chop, which of course relatively it is now. RSI 92 is still ticking up. I mean, for the month though, silver's up by $14.03, which is 19.9%. New historic high 121.64. We settled in the 84s. Again, very spiky candle, which is suggestive of a short-term top, which, Clearly, there's a short-term turn underway. Look at the 10 MA, 48. So that'll be $50 as of next Monday. Do I think we're going to come back down to 50? No, probably not. Look at the daily chart. I mean, that's truly an incredible thing to see. A $31 drop in a day, which was 26.9%. So 121's on Thursday, settled at the 84s. Note the 50-day, 73. And yeah, look, 73 was a floor there. So we have a lot of support around 73s and then the 69s. If we see silver, this is important. This is the one thing I was really thinking about on Friday. If we see silver under 69, next support is 54, which is the old breakout threshold. Well, just above, $50. But yeah, 54. So if we lose 69, 54s. This doesn't look likely, but that would be the most bearish target. Realistically, 84s, maybe 69s next week. Yeah, that looks realistic. And again, in terms of momentum, look at that momentum. You can barely see it on here, actually. It's a very strange histogram chart. But yeah, we settled fractionally positive. And on Monday, the next, even if we open up on Monday by like 5-7%, this bar, the next bar will be somewhere, could be somewhere off to just down here, which would be lower than that cycle in October. And again, when we get bearish cross, that sell signal, that one didn't last long there, but that one, again in October, lasted for a couple of weeks. You could have bought after like a week and a half in the 45s. And look at that, 20% downside. Look, 54 to 45 is roughly 20%. Of course, we're already below that, right? 20% of 121 is, actually, what is 20%? Anyway, doesn't matter. Anyway, if I sound tired, it's because I am. I'm exhausted. It's supposed to be my day off. It's supposed to be the weekend where I can kind of recover. I just seem to be going through endless problems today. Oh my God. I'm trying to restrain myself from launching into a tirade of complaints about how my life is just endless problems. There's always something. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Let's go through the miners. That was the other thing I really wanted to cover today. So, individual miners for January. So, Agnico Eagle, near historic high 225, net high for the month by 12%. Of course, you see the spike on there as we called back on Friday. But again, look, 10 MA. We're bullish unless we go into that. I mean, really, it's like if you didn't want to pay 225, now you got 190. Next we could print. I mean, look, we could easily print 170, maybe 160, and then chop around for another month or two. This is something that most people will not be talking about. It is entirely possible that we just consolidate sideways, much like October and November. So we could easily chop around for a couple of months, especially if the main market goes down, whether that's February, March, or April, then gold and silver will also be pressured, or at least restrained from going up. Anyway, First Majestic Silver, arguably the second best silver miner out there. So that had no, that's not a new historic. Actually, no, it was a new historic high of 27.90. Cooled back to $20. Again, still super bullish. We could easily cool back to what? I mean, really, in theory, it could easily cool back to what, 17s, even 14s. But yeah, 25% net monthly gain. Anglo Gold Ashanti, near strike high 115, settled up 8.9%, 92s. So again, all of these candles are much the same. They're all really spiky, suggestive of a short-term top, which clearly they have. Barrick Mining. Barrick has earnings on Thursday and after hours, which should be fine. No, actually, they will be good, actually. What am I saying? Yeah, of course they'll be good. Gold sustainably up still. Um, so new strike high 54, cool back to the 45s. You think, where's the support? You could maybe come back to the, I mean, it's already printed 42s actually. Anyway, whatever the short-term cooling, this to me, if you believe in if you believe gold's going to go to 7K, then this is $100 stock. Probably before, in my view, probably before year end. For mining, 14% on the month. Again, never did get to the next resistance threshold of 34, 35, but it's probably going to do it, right? Look at the volume. I haven't even looked at the volume on some of these, but yeah, volume is pretty historic on many of these stocks. DRD gold up 2.5%. So yeah, another spiky candle. But look, higher highs, higher lows, long term bullish. Endeavor Silver, 15.15, which was probably a new historic high. 16% on the month. Again, it could chop around for a month or two. Mid long term bullish. Franco Nevada, near strike high 273, cooled back 234. Again, look, first support will be around $200 in February. Goldfields, near strike high 61s, cooled back to $50, which is almost a 20% drop. So this thing was up 30 odd percent just 2 days ago. Again, if you believe gold is 7K, then you can extrapolate to 100. Hecla Mining, still net high for the month by 17%. I mean, look at that crazy spike to 34. Think about that. 34 to 22. So that's $12 down, which is about 38%. This lost 38% from Thursday to Friday. So it's still up 17 on the month. Incredible. Harmony Gold up 7%. New historic high 26s, cool to 21. Again, look at this. Generally holds on the Teneme. So Teneme 16s, 17s in February. It could cool back a couple of bucks. Kinross Gold, new historic high 39s, cooled back to 31s on Friday. Teneme 21s, 22s in February. Again, if you believe gold is 7K, this is easily a $50 stock. I mean, hell, it was 39 2 days ago. Newmont, best gold miner in the world. New strike high 134, cooled back to 112. There's a lot of support around 100, so we could see another 12% downside. Again, on Monday, I'm kind of inclined to see Monday starting positive for gold and silver. But hey, if I'm wrong, I don't care. I'm not holding anything across the weekend. I'm looking to buy back, literally. I managed to escape the wrath on Friday, having sold on Thursday, right? So I mean, mostly I managed to avoid it because I'm such a twitchy trader right now. Very, very cautious, especially the fact that I mean, do I even want to go back to silver? I just want to go back to silver briefly. Look at this. Look at silver on a daily. On a daily chart, right? I get when the bloody RSI is this high as it was on Thursday, right? I mean, this is scary stuff. If you're buying when the RSI is up here, that's a that's not a great place. The place to be buying is when the RSI is at least no higher than 50. So you could be buying there, right? During all of this, that was the time to buy, right? October, November. Oh, look at that. The RSI is already down to 45. Here's the irony. It's something that just occurred to me. I mean, just in terms of momentum going down, RSI is probably going to be 30 on Monday or Tuesday. We're going to be technically oversold on either Monday or Tuesday, almost certainly. So we have not been oversold since last April. Remember, look, see a little down wave in April, 31 to 26, $5 across what, a week, and we rebounded. So yeah, the daily charts are going to be oversold very quickly because this was a wild drop, right? Anyway, Newmont. So yeah, if Newmont's up on Monday, I still think it has a good, probably could have called back to 100, and 100 is a lot better entry than 134. Pan American Silver, the best silver miner in the world, probably. New historic high, 69.99. Net gain 5%, 54s. Again, short-term vulnerable. Where would it call back to? Maybe, I mean, $50. $50 looks kind of probable next week. World Gold, I don't really care about it, but royalty miner, 306 new strike high, 18% gain. So the more boring miners actually held gains better than some of the smaller ones. I do remember actually seeing that. I should type in this little one. One of my readers. Yeah, look at that. So Rio 2, new strike high 302, actually settled down for the month by only by 7 cents. This is like some kind of South American company. Um, it's just something that somebody pointed out to me. But hey, look at this. 8 cents to $2.40. Whoever was buying in the last couple of years, they've had a they've had a good run, right? I mean, look, it's 11 cents on the COVID low, went to 85, 8 cents. I don't own it. I almost certainly never will, but I'm sure the person out there will appreciate the fat chart. It's an interesting company. I've done some digging into it. But this, it's 240 right now. Maybe it'll be $2 next week. It could easily be $2 next week. I would note the 10 MA at 148, which will be around 160 in February. So we could come down to two, we probably are going to come down to two, maybe 180, 160. Anyway, Royal Gold, moving on from that one. SSR Mining. Yeah, look at this. Price structure was a bull flag. It's played out with new strike, actually not a new strike high, but a new multi-year high of 28, 4% on the month. Don't really care for that one. And wheat and precious metals up 12%. Again, a more boring miner. It doesn't. Again, this doesn't even have any mines. It just does. It's some kind of royalty trading company thing. But anyway, interesting. Again, my favorite gold miner is Newmont. Favorite silver miner, Pan American Silver. But yeah, I haven't even looked at this chart since Thursday, right? Look at this. I haven't even highlighted this to anyone. I haven't even looked at it myself. So look at this. Monday. Look at the little black MACD line. Look at this. Look at this critical. Look at this critical little lower high. And we weakened on actually Thursday kind of leaned up, but the MACD actually weakened and then snap. And we've gone from up +5 to like -5, which is an incredibly oversold. So again, we're oversold on a short-term hourly chart. We are grossly oversold. Again, if you wanted to buy, that was not a good place. That was a very bad place to be buying, and that was even worse on Thursday afternoon. So yeah, look, we have a floor from at least for SLV 6912, and these candles suggest a floor, but my concern is the daily charts. Of course, we have a gap here. Look, we have a gap from 105 to about 90. You see, look, I am completely open to the notion the SLV goes from 75 to 90. Now that's a $15 gain, which is that's 20%. We could have a 20% jump on Monday. I don't know if we're going to do it. We could just keep falling. I'm not trading it, right? I'm just going to leave it alone. I'm look. It's not even marked on this chart, but that look at that big old gap. Look at that from January the 12th. That gap was filled. There's another gap here that was filled. So there's one, two. That gap there was basically filled from the 5th, and so was that one there. But yeah, these two gaps are filled. There was definitely a little bit of support coming in there on Friday. But also on Thursday, look at that. Black candle dropped, which was where I was buying. I was buying here and I sold everything around here. Crazy. I mean, that's just on here you can see it's 109 to 69, which is basically a $40 drop in like the space of 2 days from the open to the Friday afternoon. $40. $40. I just, no matter how many times I look at it since this happened on Friday, I cannot believe it. It's like wild. But yeah, in terms of upside gaps, it's not, I've not even labeled it on here, but we have an upside gap all the way to 106 and it starts around 90-ish. And next week is really hard to call, but I do lean to a lower low. I think we're going to take out the 69, so maybe come down, maybe a bit more. I don't know how much. Nobody knows, right? This is the cautious will be very cautious, and I'm more interested anyway in the longer term. I mean, you can get lost in the day-to-day swings and just lose your mind. I will just briefly highlight the weekly charts. I mean, look, when you see a weekly candle, this is spiky. It's hyper bearish engulfing. You got to think we're going to go down for a little bit more, right? Right. And look, with in terms of weekly momentum, we've only ticked down a little bit, right? We could go down for weeks, and in theory, though, we could maybe we'll just build another bullish pattern. But in that case, we only went down for, if you start from the spike, we went down for 3 weeks and then floored. Because we held the 10 MA in that cycle. This one, maybe we'll break out. 10 MA is 75, $9 down. And for gold, on a weekly, look at it. Incredible. Less bearish than silver because gold candle's not actually bearish engulfing. And I'd note the 10 MA on the weekly, roughly 4,500. So, maybe if gold is down, if silver and gold start next week bearish, I would be an interested buyer because I think there is a lot of genuine support around 4,500, and that would be around silver. Actually, I'm thinking of the daily 10 MA again. Yeah. So for silver, the 50-day 73. So round it up a bit because new with Monday that's going to tick upwards a bit. So let's just call it 74 to 84. So $10. We can drop $10 on Monday or Tuesday, and then the buyers with more, the really bold people will be coming in. I might be one of them. It depends. Depends on the type. Depends on the style of price action we get. I will be very tempted though. Again, for gold on a daily, the 50-day will be around 4,500. So yeah, let's just call it $4,500 gold and 74 silver. That looks probable. There's a few other things I could highlight, but it's late and I don't want to go around in circles for myself. Oh my God. But we know the long-term outlook. This is just a short-term washout after a hell of a run, right? This is the first big drop since gold, really after the consolidation phase here. I haven't even drawn a Fibonacci, but we've come from, let's just call it 54 or round it up to 55. So we've gone up 76 dollars across basically, yeah, 70. If you just start the clock around there, we've gone up roughly $76 in 2 months, which is incredible. Can't go up all the time. You're gonna have to have little washouts, and the higher we go, the washouts are going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And to be quite clear, I am a gold 10K and silver 500 plus person. Not this year, but you know, maybe next year, maybe a couple of years out, but we know it's coming. Anyway, let's round things up. I will merely wish you a good Saturday, and next week it's going to be interesting. I mean, there's going to be plenty of opportunities to trade it. Long and short, I wouldn't short it. I have a no shorting gold and silver rule for the next well, for the next 7 years at least. Why would you short silver? It's only just broken out. I will just say, I have seen one or two of my people who were short silver. I guess they got lucky. I mean, some of them would have been trying to short it since here, which is just, in my view, trying to short this is just stupid. I mean, you could have tried shorting it there for what you would have got like a day or two. In my view, the risk reward isn't great. I mean, yeah, sure, some people made big money on Friday, but my approach is, hey, look, I'm just looking to buy, so I'm just waiting to find an acceptable price to buy at, and trade in and out, but always on the long side. Yeah, that's if there's anything that you take away from this, that's my approach to it. Default long, just a matter of trying to nail the floor. And right now, for Monday next week, 74s with gold 4,500. And on that note, good night.